ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं। भवानी शङ्करौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरम्। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेधसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः। ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः। देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम। So Bhagwan Shri Krishna is teaching self-knowledge to Arjuna. The twofold path which is indicated in our Vedas are conveyed here in Bhagavad Gita also. The path of action and the path of meditation. Before we reach the state of enlightenment, we have to pass through the path of action to prepare ourselves. Thereafter, when we gain knowledge, we have to put forth effort to gain abidance in that knowledge. That path is that Nivritti Marga, path of meditation, path of abiding in that knowledge. That alone will give us moksha. So Bhagavan spoke to Arjuna about this knowledge of that self, the Supreme Self, which is birthless, deathless, eternal, all-pervading, changeless. But in order to recognize this self, we have to prepare ourselves through the path of karma, through the body, through the mind, through the intellect. We perform karma. See, the Atma is not a doer, but at present we are expressing through this body, mind, intellect. The actions of the body, the actions of the mind, the actions of the intellect, we assume to be our own action. So as long as we have this notion, we continue to assume the role of a doer and perform the action according to our kartavya, our duties. So in Karma Yoga, we should have the buddhi of kartavya. So kartavya buddhi, then Ishvara arpana buddhi. Whatever kartavya we have to offer it to Ishvara. As an offering to Ishvara, we should perform all our karma. So Ishvara arpana buddhi, then Asanga buddhi. One should be totally detached while performing karma. Then Samatva buddhi. One should have equanimity. The mind should be kept equanimous while we are performing karma. We should have our attention on Ishvara while performing karma. That is Samatva buddhi. And when we get the result, we should have Prasada buddhi. That whatever comes in our life is Prasada of Bhagwan. So this is the Karma Yoga buddhi. So Karma Yoga buddhi and Sankhya buddhi. Both this knowledge is revealed in Bhagavad Gita. The path of doing and the path of being. For both, we require knowledge. So Bhagavan, from the verse 40, he tells us the greatness of this Karma Yoga. He says, Bhagavan says, कि नेहाभिक्रम नाशोस्ति प्रत्यवायो न विद्यते स्वल्पमप्यस्य धर्मस्य त्रायते महतो भयात्. The greatness of this karma yoga, Bhagavan says, there is no loss of effort, there is no contrary result, and even if you follow it a little bit, it will give us great benefit. See, when we perform ordinary karma, we perform it to gain certain result in this world. So karma we perform to get karma phala. That is the ordinary way of performing karma in this world. The non-spiritual way of performing karma, We perform karma with our attention on the results of action. So sometimes we put forth effort and we don't get the result. All our effort get wasted. Sometimes we put forth effort to get a particular result, but we get something totally opposite, which we had never asked. So these are the defects of ordinary karma, because they are totally, the results are uncertain. But Bhagavan says in Karma Yoga, the whole attention is fulfilling our duties. And while fulfilling our duties, whatever comes, you should take it as prasad. One need not leave the path of duty to acquire certain things of this world. But whatever comes in the way, while performing our duty, that we should take it as prasad. And the main purpose of a karma yogi to perform karma is to purify his mind for chitta shuddhi. Yoginak karma kurvanti sangam tektvatma shuddhaye. To gain that chitta shuddhi, antakaran shuddhi, to purify our mind. And what is the meaning of purification of the mind? To make the mind free of all agitations, to make the mind free of likes and dislikes, to make the mind steadily focused on our goal. So mind is kept absolutely steady on the goal and the path. So with this attitude, when we perform karma for a long time, our mind start becoming pure, and by blessings of Bhagavan, through some teacher, through some means, or directly by Bhagavan's grace, we gain the knowledge of the self. We come to understand the nature of the self through Shravan and Manan. And once we gain this knowledge, then begins the path of meditation. The final path of gaining that abidance in that knowledge, which alone gives us moksha. So Karma Yoga is most beautiful path, but those who are not Karma Yogis and those who are totally attached to the karma and karma phala, Bhagavan says their buddhi becomes multidimensional like. They keep on looking everywhere and always distracted. Bhagavan says, Bahus shakha yanantascha buddhayo avyavasayinam. The buddhi, the understanding of a non-karma yogi is not steady. They have multiple desires in their head. They have multiple branches in their head. Because their knowledge is not acquired through right means. The knowledge of a karma yogi and the knowledge of a Sankhya yogi, means the knowledge of that Supreme Self, is very clear because it is acquired by proper means. But this other karma kandis, or those who are just attached to different types of action, Bhagavan says they themselves talk about the greatness of their karma and the greatness of the results of karma. They are totally involved in seeing the beauty of their little results of their karma. So they talk in flowery language, propagating and doing propaganda of karma and karma phala. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha. Bhagavan says they are avipaschitaha. They are not, they don't have proper understanding, they don't have proper vivek. Vedavada rata partha. They revel in those portions of the Vedas which talk about this worldly gain, the worldly pleasure through various rituals. We can gain something in this world. We can even gain some siddhis. Or through these rituals, we can go to higher world like Swargalok or some other loka. So these people they revel in this type of portion of the Vedas. Vedavadarata partha na anyadasti iti vadinah. And they say that there is nothing more in the Vedas, there is nothing more in life. You have to put forth effort and acquire different results of your action. That alone is life. Karma alone is life. There is no such thing called moksha. There is no such thing called purification of the mind, etc. One should just put forth effort to acquire various things in this world. So their life is totally involved in karma and karma phala. About them, further, Bhagavan says in verse number 43, he says, Karmatmana swarga paraha janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogaishwarya gatim prati. Bhagavan says these people are kamatmanaha. They are kama atmanaha, means they are totally an embodiment of kamna only. They are nothing but made up of desires. See, people have different samskar in their mind and they have different attraction in this world. But these karmakandis and those who are workaholics and those whose attention is only in the worldly gain, Bhagavan calls them kamatmanaha. They are embodiments of desires. They are filled with desires. Totally their antakarana is made up of just I want this, I want that, I want to go there, I want to do this, I want to change that, I want to acquire this, I want to gain different types of enjoyments, pleasures of this world and other world. They are filled with kamana. And the more desires we have, the more restless we become. The more desires we have unfulfilled, the more miserable we feel. The more frustrated we feel. The more we feel bound to this world. So kamatmanaha, they are filled with these desires, and swarga paraha, and their ultimate goal is to gain some heavenly pleasures in this world or to gain heaven. To gain some heavenly pleasures in this world or to actually go to heaven and remain there for a long time. Swarga paraha, that is their goal. And with this goal in their mind, when they perform various types of activities, those activities lead to more and more karma and more janma in this world. Bhagavan says, janma karma phala pradam. They talk this language which will lead to more and more birth, more and more karma, janma karma phala. Their words lead to those activities for which they have to take birth again and again. That is the result. See, we come in this world prompted by our desires. And we have a type of life depending on the quality of our desires. All of us are motivated by our desires only. Desires are our main motivating force. We do whatever we do because we have the desire to do that. The desire prompts us into various types of activity. Even the little thing which we do is prompted by desire. So when we have a great stock of desires, we are forced to take birth again and again. And in order to fulfill these desires, we have to perform different types of activity. Because the desires are there in the mind. In order to fulfill them, we have to work. And different desires require different types of work. Sometimes we can attain something just by doing physical action. Some desires can be fulfilled by involving the mind. Some action can be fulfilled by involving the intellect. Some some desires are fulfilled alone. To fulfill some desire, we require the help of other people around us. We take the help of our family. We take the help of our society, our friends. In this way, desires lead to variety of actions. Kriya Vishesha Bahulam. Bahula, many different types of kriyas. And the intention, if you look at the desires, they can be classified mainly for two purpose. We want two things. What? Bhoga and Aishwarya Gatim Prati. Bhoga means different types of pleasures and different types of prosperity. Means artha and kama. We want lot of wealth, position, name, fame, prosperity. Aishwarya, it is called royalty, power, and pleasure. Power, prosperity, wealth, position, name, fame, and pleasure. Bhoga, Aishwarya Gatim Prati. So just imagine the mind of a person who is not a karma yogi and the mind of a person who is a karma yogi. The mind of a karma yogi is steady. He knows his path, he knows his goal and moves. Outwardly, the actions might seem different. One karma yogi does one type of action, another karma yogi does another type of action. But within, the attitude is same. Attitude of all the karma yogis is same. But in case of worldly person who is attached to karma, their mind is filled with restlessness, their mind will fill with anxiety and worries and tension and pride and jealousies and greed and all excitement and fear, because the attention is on the result. And we never know, it is unpredictable, so their whole life goes in tension only. So Bhagavan says in the next verse, he says, Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya parhata chetasam vyavasayatmika buddhihi samadhau na vidhiyate. Bhagavan says, these workaholics, those who are attached to the karmas of this world, and those who are attached to the karmas of religion also. Even the religious activities, people get so involved in that. And for what purpose? So that they can acquire a lot of punya, and they can go to Swarga, and they will get a nice pleasures there. Or to gain certain things of this world. You do this puja, you do this ritual, then Bhagavan will be pleased, he will give you a lot of wealth. You do this karma kanda, then you will get nice job. You do this karma and you can get a nice, wife or husband. So in this way, the whole religious activity or the worldly activities, if they are focused on gaining pleasure and gaining prosperity, then the mind will always remain restless. Such a restless mind is not available for spiritual path. Bhagavan says, Bhogaishvarya prasaktanam taya aparata chetasam, whose mind is carried away by the words of propaganda of such people, words of propaganda of the scriptures, which only talk, that portion which only talks about pleasures and about prosperity. Bhagavan says such people whose mind are distracted by such goals in their life, their mind, Bhagavan says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadho na vidhiyate. Their mind, their intellect is not available to gain the buddhi of Sankhya, that is Atmajnana, they will not be able to acquire, and they will not be able to acquire even Karma Yoga buddhi. See, Karma Yoga is a buddhi, is an attitude, is an understanding, is a wisdom. With the help of karma, we try to acquire this wisdom. Just performing karma is not called Karma Yoga. Everyone performs karma, so everyone should be called Karma Yogis only. And there are some people who are so workaholic that they non-stop they will be working day and night. Just performing karma is not called Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is a buddhi, as I said, of Kartavya buddhi. And in that Kartavya there is no selfishness, there is no ulterior motives, only my duty towards myself, towards my family, towards my society, towards this world, towards God, my duty. So Kartavya buddhi, Ishvara Arpana buddhi, Asanga buddhi, Samatva buddhi and Prasada buddhi. That buddhi is very important. But who are attached to karma and karma kanda and worldly pleasures and royalty and prosperity, Bhagavan says their mind is not available to gain this karma yoga buddhi. Not only karma yoga buddhi, they will not be able to gain the buddhi of Atma also. First of all, they will not be interested in spirituality. And even when they show interest in spirituality, they will be so distracted, they will not gain that knowledge. Even if we might see them active in some religious organization or some other field also, but their intention will be bhoga and aishwarya. There also they will try to acquire some position, some name, some fame, some power or some pleasure. So that is not Karma Yoga, that is not Sankhya Yoga. Bhagavan says, Vyavasayatmika buddhi samadha na vidhiyate. Samadha means in their antakarana, they will not acquire, they will not be able to acquire this Karma Yoga buddhi or Sankhya buddhi. Restlessness of the mind. Suppose you are in a what you call seated on a horseback. The horse is moving, and if you want to have a cup of tea seated there, it's not possible. The tea will fall all over. If one wants to meditate on Atma, if you want to acquire the buddhi of a karma yogi, and if the mind is distracted, it is going everywhere here and there, we will not be able to acquire that. Therefore, if one wants to be sincerely following the path of spirituality, one should first become a karma yogi. Yogi bhava Arjuna. Later on Bhagavan tells Arjuna also, hey Arjuna, you become a yogi. You become a karma yogi first. Arjuna wanted to just renounce and meditate. Bhagavan says, no, you first become a karma yogi. Just by renouncing action, you will not acquire that state of meditation. Nacha sanyasanadeva siddhim samadhigacchati. Just by renouncing action or taking sannyas, you will not be able to attain that state of meditation. First, you have to follow the path of a karma yogi. You become a karma yogi first. That karma yoga itself will take you towards your ultimate goal. Later on in the 18th chapter also Bhagavan says, Sve sve karmani abhirataha siddhim vindanti manavaha. That totally engage in their Karma Yoga, in their own Swadharma, a person attains the final goal, remaining there itself. Just like that escalator is there, you step on the first step, and that itself will take you to the higher steps. It will take you to the destination. You don't have to do anything. So Bhagavan says he advises Arjuna. Now in the next verse he says, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistragunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvandvo Nitya Sattvastaha Niryogakshema Atmavan. Arjuna, Bhagavan says, this Vedas, the maximum portion of the Vedas, they talk about, their topic is dharma, and they talk about the world and worldly, how we should live in this world, and that topic is within the scope of the three gunas. Therefore Bhagavan says, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. Veda means not the entire portion of Vedas, the previous Kanda, the Karma Kanda portion of the Vedas talk about the action and the results, etc., and how we should live in this world. That comes within the fold of the three gunas, means within the fold of Maya, within the fold of Prakriti, within this world. Bhagavan advises Arjuna that you try to go beyond these three gunas. So, Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha. See, we have these four types of desires in us. That way, if we look within, lots and lots of desires are there within our Antakarana, but they are classified broadly into four groups. They are called Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, or Artha, Kama, Dharma, Moksha. Artha means we have desire to acquire wealth, desire to acquire objects of this world, desire to acquire material goods. And why do we have this desire? Because we want to protect our body. We want to protect ourselves. In order to protect ourselves, we acquire wealth, etc., so that we can eat, we can live, we can have a house, we can have clothes, dresses to wear, and all, roti, kapda, makan we can get. For that, we strive. So that type of desire is called Artha Purushartha. And once we feel safe and once we feel secure that I have enough wealth and all, that may also not happen in life for many people. But once we have little bit of safety, we also simultaneously think about pleasure, that I should enjoy. I should not only eat to live, but I should live to eat. I should not only wear to cover myself, but I should wear to show to the world how suited, booted, coated I look. So in this way, people have desire for pleasures. And these are worldly people whose minds remains distracted all the time. But when a person becomes dharmic, the Vedas come into our life. So the Vedas say that you don't have to give up your Artha and Kama, but you fulfill them through rightful means, through dharmic means. Through dharma, you acquire wealth. Through dharma, you enjoy all the bhoga of this life. So there is that role of Vedas. Ki you lead a dharmic life. Even if you want to enjoy, even if you want prosperity, try to acquire through rightful means. Vedas say that we will help you to acquire wealth in this world and in the other world also. We will help you to gain pleasure in this world and other world also, but through rightful means. So that portion of the Vedas which guide us to acquire earth and kama through rightful means are the karma kanda portion. But later on, the Vedas themselves, they say that all these are limited. Even whatever prosperity you gain here and this other world is limited. You try to acquire that, gaining which everything is gained, acquiring which everything gets acquired. You try to gain the Param Purushartha. You try to gain that Param Dham. And how it can be gained? By knowing yourself. So Vedas then guide these karma kandis towards the path of karma yoga. So that is where Bhagavad Gita also begins. Bhagwan says, ye karma kanda ko chhod do, become a karma yogi. Don't be a karma kandi, become a karma yogi. Don't perform all the rituals and things to acquire wealth and position, name, fame in this world or the other world, but become a karma yogi. Try to transcend this world and the other world. Try to transcend your mind, intellect, etc. And that is what Bhagwan tells, guides and tells, advises Arjuna here. Bhagwan says, this portion of the Vedas which are talking about karma kanda, which are within the field of the three gunas, Bhagwan says, hey Arjuna, you try to transcend them. You go beyond these three gunas. Nistre gunyo bhava Arjuna. Direct advice to Arjuna. And through Arjuna to all of us, Bhagwan is telling us, hey Arjuna and all of you, Nistre gunyo bhava means go beyond these three gunas. Drop these three gunas from your life. Transcend these three gunas. What is the meaning of transcending these three gunas? See, these three gunas are the three gunas of Prakriti or Maya. Bhagwan's Maya is Trigunatmika. In the 7th chapter, Bhagwan will tell about his Maya. He says that Daivi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratyaya Mame Vaye Prapadyante Mayam Etam Tarantite. This Maya is Bhagwan's Shakti. Maya is not different from Bhagwan. Maya is Shakti of Bhagwan. So Shakti and Shaktiman are not different. Maya is not non-existent. Maya is not mithya. Maya is not bad. Maya is Bhagwan's Shakti, Bhagwan's power, through which Bhagwan creates this world for the benefit of all beings, not to harass them, not to trouble them, but for their bhoga and for their moksha. Bhukti, mukti, pradata cha. Bhagwan gives us bhukti also, means bhoga, pleasure, and mukti, moksha also. So these three gunas, Bhagwan's power, through that only this whole manifested world is there. It is pervaded by these three gunas. So our body, our mind, our intellect, and this whole world is Trigunatmika. Sattvagun, Rajogun, Tamogunatmika. Tamogun is Jadatva, is inertia, material. Material means it is inertia. It has got what you call that Jadatva in it. Rajogun is activity. The main feature of Rajogun is activity. And the main feature of Sattvagun is intelligence. So, material, that is mass, matter, you can say, matter, activity and intelligence. Tamogun, Rajogun and Sattvagun. These three gunas are Bhagwan's power. So through these three gunas, Bhagwan, through his Tamogun, Rajogun, Sattvagun power, he creates this material world. This material world is active and it is intelligent also. So that intelligence we see in our senses, in our mind, in our intellect. The restlessness which we experience in our body, mind, intellect is the Rajogun. And the inertia which we experience in our body, mind, intellect is the Tamogun. But all these are within the world, within the body, mind, intellect, within the Stula Sharir, Sukshma Sharir. Here Bhagwan tells Arjuna, you transcend them. You have the goal of transcending these three gunas. And how can we transcend these three gunas? By surrendering to Ishvara. By gaining that knowledge of Ishvara, that is my Supreme Self, and surrendering to my Supreme Self. Bhagwan says, Mameva ye prapadyante mayam etam tarantite. All those who surrender to me, they will be able to transcend my Maya. We cannot destroy the Maya because Bhagwan's power. It cannot be destroyed. We can transcend Maya. Maya is different from avidya. Avidya belongs to the jiva. The not knowing myself is called avidya. And power of Bhagwan is called Maya. Maya is not avidya. Maya is Bhagwan's Shakti. We cannot destroy Maya. We can transcend Maya. We can destroy avidya through knowledge. Avidya is not trigunatmika. Avidya can be destroyed through knowledge. But Maya is trigunatmika, and Maya can be transcended by surrendering to Ishvara, by gaining that jnana nishtha. When we gain jnana nishtha, that is when we meditate, that is nididhyasan, that itself is called surrendering to Ishvara, that itself is called parabhakti, supreme devotion. So through supreme devotion, through surrendering to Ishvara, through jnana nishtha, we can transcend Maya. We can attain God realization. So that advice Bhagwan gives to Arjuna here, ki he Arjuna, nistraya gunyo bhava. Keep that as your goal. And when a person has got that as a goal, and when he works in this world, such a person is called karma yogi. When a person says, I am a karma yogi, you should ask him, what is your goal? What is your destination? Where you want to reach? If that person has got worldly destination, then that is not karma yoga. If that person's goal is to attain God, then he is a karma yogi. He is busy working in this world, but his intention is to attain God. His intention is not to attain worldly pleasures or worldly position, but to attain God. So that's what Bhagwan tells Arjuna, ki hey Arjuna, you become a karma yogi. Nistraya gunyo bhava Arjuna. Have that goal of transcending these gunas. Oh, but it is very easy to have that goal, but to follow that path and acquire it is very difficult. So Bhagwan gives briefly the formula of attaining that goal. He says, Nirdvandvaha, Nityasatvastaha, Niryogakshema, Atmavan. 4 things Bhagwan tells Arjuna, that you first become nirdvandva. become free of the pairs of opposites. Thereafter you gain, or simultaneously you gain abidance in sattva gun, nitya sattvastah bhava. Then also again you remove the notion of yoga and kshema from your mind. Nir yoga kshema bhava. And then you steadily work towards gaining abidance in yourself. Atmavan bhava. What does it mean? Nirdvandvaha. Nirdvandva means what? Dvandva means what? Dvandva means pairs of opposites. Dvandva really means those things which go together. They are called dvandva. Like what? Like sukha and dukkha. They go together means where there is sukha, there itself actually lies dukkha also. But dukkha, when it is dormant, then sukha manifests. When sukha becomes dormant, then dukkha manifests. But they are like two sides of the same coin. Like gain and loss. Where there is gain, hidden there within is the loss also. When that gain goes away, there is loss. When that loss comes, there is gain. They are all connected to each other. Like pain and pleasure. Where there is pain, there is no pleasure. Where there is pleasure, there is no pain. As the pleasure increases, the pain reduces. As the pain increases, the pleasure reduces. Or like heat and cold. Heat and cold also go together. In fact, the heat we can talk in terms of cold also. In the sense that when something is hot, it is relative. It is colder than what is hotter than it, and hotter than what is colder than it. So it is relative, it is on the scale. Like on the thermometer. The higher we say it is hotter, lower it is colder. But this lower is hotter than that which is below that also. So it is on the one scale only. So this dvandva is in one scale, and it is the result of our karma. It comes result of our karma, it comes in our life. The life which is presented in front of us, it is presented in the form of dvandva. Joy and sorrow, friends and enemies, gain and loss, victory and defeat, honor and dishonor, they go as though together. So if one tries to acquire one thing, the other thing will be there behind somewhere. So always there will be fear of the other thing. If I work towards victory, somewhere deep within I will have that fear of defeat. If I work towards success, I will have fear of failure. If I work towards gaining something, I will be afraid of losing. So they go together and our mind gets totally involved in that. But a karma yogi dedicates this dvandva in the hands of Bhagwan. The karma yogi says that I will keep doing my duty. Oh Bhagwan, you give me whatever you want to give. If you want to give me pleasure, I will take it. If you want to give me pain, I will take it. If you want to give me victory, I will take it. If you want to give me defeat, I will take. But I will continue doing my duty as your seva. So this person, karma yogi, becomes free of the tension of this dvandva. He is not obsessed by dvandva. He is not agitated by dvandva. That is what is called becoming nirdvandva. A karma yogi becomes nirdvandva, takes both pleasure and pain in the same stride. And how we can do this? how can we achieve this type of mentality? Bhagavan says, try to gain more and more abidance in sattva gun. Try to become more and more sattvic. See, our food, our actions, our feelings, our attitude, all this also can be divided, classified as tamasic, rajasic and sattvic. Such classification Bhagavan will tell in the 14th chapter. So here Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, you try to be more and more sattvic. Try to gain more and more abidance in sattvic, sattva gun. Take sattvic food, have sattvic words to utter, have sattvic relationship, have sattvic actions to perform, have sattvic emotions and understanding, have sattvic vision of life. Try to gain more and more abidance in sattva gun. You don't have to fight the rajogun and tamogun. If you strengthen sattva gun, rajogun and tamogun automatically will become quiet. Because these three gunas also are opposed to each other. When one guna rises, the other two falls down. So if you increase sattva gun, take abidance in sattva gun, automatically the restlessness of your mind will go away, and the lethargy and sleep and laziness and forgetfulness also will go away. You will become more and more positive. Your chitta will become more and more calm and peaceful. You will start moving more and more towards your ultimate goal. So this is a very beautiful sadhana Bhagavan is telling Arjuna, and this is what Karma Yoga is. So Karma Yoga is not to worry about Dvandva. Karma Yoga is to try to be more and more in Sattva Gun. In the mind, Sattva Gun expresses in the form of happiness and in the form of knowledge. So Bhagavan says, try to revel in knowledge, in wisdom, in the higher wisdom, and try to keep your mind happy, peaceful, by being in tune with Ishvara, by accepting Ishvara as your ultimate goal and boss. Be happy. More you try to be happy, more you are in Sattva Gun. More you become miserable and restless and angry and jealous and greedy and passionate and all, you are in Rajogun. More you become tamasic and lethargic and sleepy and forgetful and irritating and violent, you are in Tamogun. So Bhagavan says, hey Arjuna, you try to be in Sattvagun, remaining in Sattvagun, you fight this war. Later on also Bhagavan says, Mam anusmara yudhyacha, that remembering me all the time, you fight this war. Don't take this fighting the war as a very tense and very difficult and very rajasic activity, but do it. Fighting this war also, do it gracefully, without getting agitated. As your dedication to me, as worship of me, you fight. So nirdvandvaha nitya sattvastaha. And the third thing, nir-yoga-kshema. This is very interesting and important. Bhagavan says, become free of yoga and kshema. Don't have the tension of yoga and kshema. What is yoga and kshema? Shankaracharya ji writes in the commentary the definition, ki anupattasya upadanam yoga upattasya rakshanam kshema. The desire to acquire those things which we don't have is called yoga, and the anxiety to protect what we have is called kshema. The thirst to acquire what we don't have is called yoga, and the anxiety to protect what we have is called kshema. And most of the people, non-karma yogis, their life is spent only in yoga and kshema, constantly trying to acquire which we don't have. I have this much wealth, I want more. I don't have wealth, so let me acquire more wealth. I don't have land, so let me acquire more land. I have enough clothes, but I want more dresses, more different types of dresses I want. I want to wear something for my party, or on sports, on this and that. I want more ornaments. I want more other furnitures and other goods in my home. So desire to acquire what I don't have, whether it is objects or it is position also, that I have become a manager but I want to become the president of this company. I am just ordinary member of this organization, I want to become the secretary, I want to become the president. I am an ordinary person here but I want to acquire more position, name, fame. So like that, constantly a person is involved in acquiring what they think they don't have. Because we measure ourselves with what we have, outward my possessions, or even the inner my wealth, my body and all. I have this weak body, I want to develop my muscles, I want to become strong, I want to go to that gym and become as powerful as anybody else. Or trying to acquire some talent, some this of the mind, of the body, of the intellect. So this constant thirst to acquire what I don't have. And when I get it, there is a worry about protecting it. If I get wealth, I worry, how can I protect it now? If I get some jewels and some ornaments and some other valuable items and all, then there will be worry how to protect. If I build a big bungalow with lot of furnitures and lot of goods and all, then I am worried somebody may come and steal, somebody come and kill me. So I am worried, so I keep guards. I have special system there in my house. All those, what is it called? Anti-burglary system and alarms and all. So worried about kshema and anxious about anxiety, the restlessness to acquire things. Yoga kshema. Bhagavan says, you surrender this yoga kshema to me. I will give you what you need and I will protect you what is required for you. In the 9th chapter, very beautiful shloka, Bhagavan says, you surrender, you think about me, you dedicate your life to me. This yoga kshema and all, I will do it for you. मैं आपका गार्ड बन जाऊंगा. I will protect you. I will take care of your needs. अनन्यास चिंतयन्तो माम ये जना पर्युपासते तेषाम नित्याभियुक्तानाम योगक्षेमं वहाम्यहम्. Bhagavan says, those who think about me, those who have dedicated their life to me, those who work for me, Bhagavan says, I take care of their needs. See, Bhagavan is telling us, and he does what he promises. So Bhagavan says, Yoga Kshemam Vahami Aham. मैं आपका योग और क्षेम मैं देख लूँगा. What is required to you at whatever time, I will give it to you. Even in the desert, even in places where it seems impossible. And if you require food, I will bring food for you. If you require water, I will give you water to you. If you require dress, I will give you that. If you require any other thing, I will give it to you. And if you have something which you need to be protected, I will protect. No force on earth can take it away from you. You don't have to keep special guards. See, many times our wealth outside and all may be stolen, but our inner wealth also gets stolen. our peace of our mind, Shama, Dama, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, the inner wealth, the Shat Sampatti, that also gets stolen. I am very peaceful and somebody steals away my peace. I am very happy, somebody takes away my happiness. I have lot of faith, but somebody takes away my faith. I have control over my mind, but somebody takes away that control. So that inner wealth is also protected by Ishvara. The outer wealth is also protected by Ishvara. Have faith in Ishvara. He will protect. But Bhagavan says you have to work for me. If you don't work for me, if you work for somebody else and you want me to protect you, that is not fair. तू मेरे लिए काम कर, मैं आपकी रक्षा करूँगा. Just like Hanuman ji working for Ishvara, working for Sri Ram, and Sri Ram was protecting him all the time. Angad went to this Ravan as Bhagwan's ambassador, as Shanti Dut. Angad told Ravan that this whole our army has come here to Lanka, the war is about to begin, but even now you can prevent this war, you can prevent this whole calamity, you can do one thing, you just return Sitaji with proper respect, surrender to Bhagwan, ask for forgiveness for whatever you have done, and he will forgive you, and you can continue ruling your kingdom. You can continue to be a king. But Ravan, he was very annoyed. He said, what nonsense. I will never surrender. I will not give away Sitaji also. So Angad, he stood there in the kingdom, in that darbar, with his foot firmly put on the ground. He said, if any one of you can lift my foot, I will consider that we have lost this war, and you can then keep Sitaji also. This is a very bold statement to make, but he made it. And Bhagwan himself protected him. Bhagwan himself gave him the strength and power. Bhagwan's power was there, Bhagwan's Shakti was there within him. Nobody could move his foot. So when Bhagwan is with us, when he is there to protect us, when he is there to take care of us, we don't have to worry. But we have to be his sevak. We can't be the sevak of the world and ask for things from Bhagwan. Bhagwan, mere liye karo, but I will spend my life doing something for somebody else. Aisa nahi. So you work for Bhagwan, and he will take care of you. In the Bible also it is said that you just put forth effort to gain the kingdom of heaven, and whatever is required will be given to you, will be supplied to you. So here also Bhagwan says that you just drop this yoga and kshema, surrender them to me, I will take care. So if a person acquired these three things, becomes free of the pairs of opposite, gain that abidance in sattva gun, become free of this yoga and kshemang, surrender them to Ishvara, then that person is a karma yogi and steadily moving towards his goal of gaining abidance in his self. Bhagavan says, Atmavan. If you do this, you will become Atmavan. Atmavan means you will gain abidance in your Atma. You will gain realization of your own self. So that is what we can gain if we pursue sincerely the path of Karma Yoga. So Arjuna, you become a Karma Yogi. So through Arjuna, Bhagavan is telling all of us that all of us should become Karma Yogi in the proper sense, not in nonsense, but in proper sense we should become karma yogis. Then our path is smooth and we will reach our goal without fail. Okay? More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. Till then, stay safe, stay home, stay peaceful, stay healthy, stay happy, and we will meet again. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram, 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 Jaya Jaya Ram, Jaya Jaya Ram. Bole Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.